Welcome to the Local Yokels Podcast, guys. Thank you for joining us today. We are bringing stories of DeSoto County businesses, nonprofits, charities, and we're deep diving into the journeys, the purpose, and what the impact they bring to our communities. So thank you for joining us. And by the way, this show is today brought to you by Roofworks. And I've got Bubba's Allscapes. We know Bubba. All of us know, I pretty much all know Bubba's. You can reach him at his website. And of course, Tree Masters.
Tree Master.
Yeah. I'm your host, Neil Colley, and we're going to get ready to discover our hometown gems right here in our backyard. And one of them that we're bringing to spotlight today is going to be our local search and rescue operations that we are all familiar. Every town and county's got one, so to speak, but we don't know really all they do. And today we have with us our own local county search and rescue team is with us, and Director John Bigham. And we also have Chris Trosclair, and then Todd Davis. And we refer to you as Director of SARS, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yep. And then we have Captain Chris.
Yes,
and then, of course, we just discussed Todd's private role. Yeah. So not to belittle you, because I know you're a hugely important part of this. But however, so as the intro goes, what we're going to talk about a little bit is just what they do for the community. I think we're all well aware that you guys exist, but I was pretty impressed after talking to some folks, Todd being one of them, all the things you do. You know, I don't think people recognize the community service y'all provide and how much of a volunteer base it is. It's all driven pretty much by our local citizens in the county. Some of them being business owners, some of them just be private, sector folks that are just out there just trying to give back to the community. And if we'll start off this morning, Director, what can you tell us about the program that you guys are working on right now, and kind of give us a little bit about it, detail, and we'll go along the line and talk to each one of you.
Well, Neil, thanks for having us.
Oh, you're welcome.
We are really appreciative that you've put us on your podcast and thought about us. So I'm the Director of Search and Rescue Operations, and I've been in my position for a little over 4 years, I'd say. Man, we do a lot. We service our county, other counties. We've been to other states to help with just different things. We've got a canine group that is part of our unit. We've got a dive team. We've got a swiftwater team. We just got a lot of just different things going on.
Drones.
Yes, sir. So we've got one drone for search and rescue, but a part of my position as the director, I also train the patrol deputies with their drones. And so, if there's an issue, they can deploy a drone. They don't have to call somebody in for overtime or anything like that. So,
and you got to have a license for that, right? Like
yes,
that's
sir.
not just something like you buy it off TikTok and you're out here flying. These are real deal,
yes,
like
sir.
drones.
Yes, sir. There's loopholes to everything.
Sure.
But we have found that the Part 107 certificate, which is the drone license,
Sure.
is the best way to go.
Absolutely.
There's a thing called a COA, and you pretty much make your own your rules or what you think that you're going to need for whatever area you're in, and you submit it to the FAA, and they approve it or they don't approve it, and that's how you can another way you can fly.
Right. So to be clear, these drones are not like after me and you. Most of the time they're used in the division with SARS, and that's what we want to focus on today, not so much what the sheriff department does with them, but we want to focus on what you guys do as a group, like the search and rescue part of it.
Yes, sir.
The drones are to help to locate missing individuals.
Yes, sir.
Not your local animal. Like your cat or your dog in the tree. So be clear. Don't be calling for that.
Don't call us. We're not going to go look for your deer that you just got.
No, still call the fireman. Yeah, that's right. So with that being said, are these technically advanced drones to where they're heat signatures and things like that that you guys are using to locate, someone's loved one or neighbor or something of that nature?
Yes, sir. It's an IR camera.
Okay.
It just looks for body heat.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a daytime camera on it too. We fly better with the infrared on. We can see just about everything. Everything's got a heat signature, even the ground, the trees, everything. And if you fly enough and you're just doing it enough, you can pretty much figure out what you're looking at.
Sure.
And we had a call maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, been about 2 years now.
2 years ago, there was an elderly man that had left his home. I think his wife was his caregiver, and something happened. He gets out, and another city called us and asked us to go help, and the patrol drone operator actually found him, and he got our guys who were on the ground to him. and the guy was right at the hypothermic level.
Oh man!
So, but our team and the drone, everybody together, working together, it saved his life.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. Again, why I had y'all on today, we need to talk about these things, and not only, but with the elderly but a small child, an autistic child, something of that nature. I know that y'all actually work trying to, search for those guys when they walk away. Sometimes our little ones do get out. Doesn't make you a bad parent. I mean, that happens to people. Autistic children, I've been around a couple, and they're sometimes hard to maintain, in their where they should be. They sometimes get away from people as well. And I know that y'all do some of that as well. So I want to thank y'all for that, because, that saves lives every day for sure, And so let's move around to Captain Chris for a moment and tell us about your role in the department.
Pretty much my role with the unit is anything that Director Bigham needs me to take care of. I take care of. I try to oversee some of the training opportunities when we do our recruiting class every year. I'm a big part of the recruit class. Pretty much with the unit, I'm a jack of all trades in a way. I've been on the unit for over 16 years, so I've touched pretty much every division within search and rescue except for swiftwater rescue. But the rest of it, just whatever my role needs to be is what I adapt into.
Sure. That's amazing. So, and I'm glad you mentioned that about the recruiting part, because this is something that's essential for this thing to exist. Is we need volunteers and new recruits every year,
right.
Or ongoing. It's something, if you feel compelled, if you're listening and you live in the area, not even just DeSoto County, but Tate and Marshall, all these areas, Tunica, they need volunteers to help with this. So,
right. Volunteers are a very important role in what we do, because like we talked earlier, Director Bigham, he is our only paid person with search and rescue.
Right.
We've got a little over 30 people, 30 volunteers on the unit right now. And that includes, our adult members as well as our cadet program, which are for minors. Us trying to groom them into being the next generation of search and rescue personnel.
Right. And what age do they start?
They start at 14, and then they'll age out at 21. And once they age out, they have the opportunity to become a regular member of search and rescue.
Amazing. And they probably got some of their training already under their belt at that point in time. Right. So it's just an easy transition across from one group to the next.
Yeah. The cadets, they go through the exact same training that any adult member goes through. There are a couple restrictions because of the fact that they're under the age of 21. But other than that, they're out on the ground pounding with us. Any type of training we're doing, they're right alongside us and they're learning. So that's how we build their future for them. We help teach them.
Amazing, man. It's just amazing. I didn't even realize that you had a cadet program. That tells you what I know. So, again, that's why we got you on today. All right, well, let's move along to Private Todd Davis.
Hey, I'm Todd Davis. I've been on the unit probably about 3 years. I had a friend that was on it, and he was talking to me about it, and so I went through the class, the Alpha class. They talk about extensive training, cover all areas of it, and then once you graduate the class, they place you on a different task force. And me being a diver, I got put on the dive task force.
Well, let's get into that a little bit, Todd, because I am familiar with Todd. He's probably why you guys are on the show, to be honest with you, because through my friendship with him, and by the way, Todd owns Tree Masters, and he is a big supporter of my Feed My Lambs group that I'm involved with, and so community service is up his alley. So it didn't surprise me at all when I found out he was on part of the DeSoto County Rescue Team. It just tells me who you are as a person, that you're giving back the way you are. But I did know you were a diver, and I knew that you travel to dive to keep your training up, keep fit, all that stuff, and especially in the wintertime when it's hard to do anything local, I guess, because you guys got to be ready to go in the cold, dark waters around here at all times. Yeah. So talk about a little bit how you got started in your diving, desire to be in diving, and then how it transitioned into doing what you do now. Because like Clearwater diving is a whole different game than what you guys are doing. So, y'all going into some of the worst stuff in the world.
Yeah, it's a lot different. I first got into diving with the family.
Yeah.
Going on family vacation. And that's when I, got introduced to it and kind of fell in love with it.
Sure.
And as I came back, I took some different classes, but when I joined the search and rescue, that's where the extensive training, the rescue training, and everything took place. And it's a lot different.
It is different. There's no doubt. When you were telling me, I even asked Todd one time, I'm like, okay, so you're a dive, rescue, recovery person a lot of times. And that's the part nobody likes to talk about, right? The recovery part. These folks, man, if y'all are not from around here, there is no clear water around here. Like everything's dark, muddy, and a lot of times cold, because you're going down deep. And he's telling me it's almost peaceful. I'm like, there's no way in my mind
it is
I could get to peaceful.
Yeah,
Yeah, you like it too?
Oh, yeah.
It is, because you can't see that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was telling you can't see anything.
That's
so you're
why
just
we
feeling
call
with
it
your
black
hands.
water.
Yeah, it's definitely, I couldn't even imagine it. So I applaud you guys to be able to do that. That's amazing, because you're taking somebody's, people are scared of heights, little things like that, claustrophobic. You just add all that in to like what you're doing, and you got to have nerves of steel. You have to.
Yeah, you do, because especially when you're down there, like some of the bodies of water we have around here, the catfish grow extremely large.
Yeah, they're big as you, Chris.
Yeah, literally they are. And so there's been times when, one of us will be under the water, because I used to be on the dive team as well, and you're laying on the bottom, and all of a sudden you just feel something run across the back of your legs, and that's when your mind starts going, okay, what was this?
Yeah, man, and then you can't even fight the thing off. You don't know where it's coming from. So you just got to relax and just trust it's going to all work out.
Yep.
Are you tethered to something where somebody can yank you out? Okay,
yes, we are tethered.
That's good news. Yeah. So, all right, so we established you got this amazing dive team, and Todd, and it seems like all of you are involved in all aspects of it at some capacity, right. and maybe you move around from unit to unit a little bit, just where the needs are, and probably comes in handy, like for instance, you, Chris, having that background. If there was an extra diver needed at the location, you haven't been involved in that unit for a while, but you can help at least get their gear ready, possibly prepare them to get in and out, or maybe even get involved yourself at that point. So
yeah, it depends on the situation. I mean, right now we have a good group of divers to where when something pops off, we're normally pretty much covered. And everybody on our unit, we all try to cross-train. Not everyone is a diver, but they can be ground support, like I said, helping getting their gear hooked up, helping them get in and out of the water. Because when you're loading yourself up with all that gear, getting in and out of the water, it is taxing, especially after you've been in the water on a search for, 15, 20, 30 minutes. When you get ready to get out, you're tired. You're ready just to get all that gear off.
Possibly cold.
Oh, definitely cold, because nothing ever happens until the weather turns bad and gets cold. Sure. That's when we get called.
Director Johnathon, let me reinstate that. He said he wanted to be clear. It's the full name.
The full name.
Yeah, the full name. Director Johnathon, can you tell me a little bit about all the different units that you have, and then what entails, like the special equipment that y'all might have?
Let's see, our Swiftwater, our team. Yeah. So we don't train at Arkabutla. Obviously, there's
some
issues over there right now. Yeah. But am I confident that we could jump in the spillway if the spillway was full and do a rescue? Yes. We go to the Ocoee River. There is a group out there that trains us. Then the last team that we sent out, I think it was August is when we went. Yeah. We actually trained with Nashville Fire Department and a bunch of Nashville police officers, because they had a big flood that happened up there not long ago, or a couple of years back. Anyways, but we're jumping in the Ocoee, and they're showing us all these different techniques, and we've got dry suits and life jackets and just a bunch of just different things, throw bags. And we're talking about businesses in the area that support us. Walmart is who bought us. We got a community foundation grant, I believe is what it was, and they bought us these $300 life jackets for Swiftwater, and it's more than just a normal life jacket. It's one that won't get peeled away in current, and it's got if Todd needs something, I can grab him and pull him out of the water real quick. We've got all these just different hookups that we can put on this jacket. It's a good jacket. The throw ropes. there's a grant called the Gary Sinise grant that we got awarded. I don't know if you know who that is.
I do know.
I did not. I'm not good with
How
names.
can you not know that?
If you told me Lieutenant Dan, I'd be like, oh yeah, I know that. We had our volunteers wrote a grant, and they took control of it, and they talked with our grant administrator at the county, and everything worked out, and he sent us a bunch of stuff too.
So this goes back to what we was talking about, how it is county funded to a point.
Yes,
like probably your boats and stuff like that are from the county's pockets, and maybe some of your vehicles that you use for sure, but some of the special equipment has to come from donations and
yes, sir.
People like Walmart, of course, and I'm sure there's local people that's gotten involved before, that's wanted to give to you guys. And that's kind of what I want to have you on here today, to bring awareness that there is a need there. We hope you're like the fire department. We hope we don't ever need you. But it's a huge insurance policy that I don't think everybody is aware that you guys are just moving around, and that you're available at the drop of a hat. It's an emergency situation.
Yeah, that was something that we had talked about before we came on. We were just kind of looking at numbers. Todd came into the office, and our unit has given 5,500 hours is what they volunteered so far this year, and the year's not over, and 2,500 of that was spent on training.
Right.
We're swimming, we're diving, we're running canines, we're doing groundwork, running compass courses, we're on our ATVs, we're just doing any kind of training. Todd can tell you about going to New Mexico. That's a good topic too. There was a grant that we found. I say a grant, the FEMA paid for a bunch of the guys to fly out, and gals to fly out, and they did some training. But there's just so many different things to talk about in the search and rescue world.
Right. Probably need 2 or 3 hours for this one. Yeah. Y'all were worried we weren't going to have enough to talk about. Yeah, no, there's a lot. So it to me, when I started looking into it a little more deeper, because like I said, I just knew I always thought, I grew up on a lake in Alabama, a little town called Cedar Bluff, and it's like a 30 to 60,000 acre lake, depending on the easement. But I watched the rescue recovery process quite a bit, unfortunately, in my days, because it was a recreational lake. There was always a boat accident or skiing or fishing or something. So that's what I saw. That's where I kind of associated that's what y'all did pretty much. But there was so much more, that I'm seeing that y'all do, and especially the county the size of DeSoto County, and it's growing every day. So there needs to be more of y'all in place to help, because not always can you be available at the drop of a hat. Like I said, 30 volunteers, is that right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. All of them's got day jobs.
Yep.
Or they own a business to where they're probably their number one employee. I know Todd is. I mean, he's out there with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
I know that. I've seen him do it. So to be able to drop that at just an instant to go and help, it takes a lot more people to, especially if you're close. Like, for instance, like you live in Olive Branch, technically, South Haven area. What if it's out by the river? You need people from everywhere. The Walls community, Eudora, wherever it is, you need people from all over the county. So if any of you are listening today that live in the area and want to get involved in a great program that's going to really help serve the community, this is one of them. So the training's there, and just know that you're going to be in a very, very useful role, no matter what role you play.
And one thing that's kind of, you wouldn't think around here is a lot of water rescue. But I think this year we've had like 8.
Wow.
But it's there. You jump in, and Johnathon's been on a few of them. Mm-hmm. Where they've had to swim, hundreds of yards,
Yeah.
I was out with knee surgery, and so I was out, but him and another guy named Diaz, they got several of them.
Wow. Does it ever, surprise you how they got there? You're just like...
Not anymore.
Okay, so you've just seen it all, and you're just like, here we go. You know what I mean? So if anybody's ever been in a position where they think they're going to drown, I think you can realize how valuable a program like this is, because I can swim pretty good, but I've been in a couple of situations in my life where I thought it was over. You know what I mean? Like my boat got away from the dock. I jumped in the water and I swam out to it and realized I ain't pulling the pontoon back to the shore.
You're fishing in a boat, no motor, and the daylight goes. It's pitch black. You don't have a flashlight, no phone. It's got to be scary.
Yeah, I get down to the river sometimes, Todd, and them guys are coming in these small little John boats. and they're just barely humping them waves, man. I'm like,
that's scary.
do y'all do a lot out that way?
We don't get many calls on the river.
Yeah.
But when we get them,
they're normally big.
they're big.
Yeah, they're big.
It's usually
like a submerged vehicle
It's
or
usually
anything.
a recovery or it's some type of recovery.
Yeah. Because there's no surviving it out there. It's such a dangerous place, man. I see people mess around the water's edge down there, and it just makes my heart drop because I know I've been out on that thing. You can be in the biggest boat, and you think you got something really underneath you. You don't.
Yeah, especially right now with the way the levels are at the river. A lot of the dikes are barely exposed out of the water. And someone who's not familiar with navigating the river will run their boat right over one of those dikes, and
little aluminum boat.
it's not a
ain't got a
happy
chance.
day.
It ain't got a chance.
And we're the ones that go get them.
I know
Like,
it.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah. And because of the way the flow is with that thing, it's unbelievable. You might be getting them out of like somewhere down the river for sure. Yeah. So it's
Meet
sad.
up with them in Tunica.
That happens a lot, you know, and I thank y'all for that too, because I've seen it, I've heard it. I know that a lot of times with the ramps, and there's very few access ramps, by the way, to the Mississippi River, and I think that's by design, because you'd think like you can just roll up and do whatever you want down there. You cannot. It's I used to think, man, they need more. No, they don't, because it's too much. It'd be too much stuff going on. Like y'all, I don't think you could have 15 units like you. If they had 3 or 4 more of them places, it'd be difficult to navigate. So I think having the limit with Bass Landing, Tunica, and I guess on down the river, there's maybe more like the cutoff and stuff like that. But like, it does make it a lot easier to probably just kind of keep people out of the water a little bit, you know, because Memphis is probably a good entry point for a lot of folks north of us here. And that's just north of us for you, those that are listening. But they have their problems too. And usually right in that area too, right where they all get into the water. Well, that's amazing. We talked about that part of it. What is probably some of the most newest equipment that you've recently gotten? How did it come to you? What are you using it for? You know, whether it be ATVs or side-by-sides or new water vessels, diving equipment, whatever.
When we went through our dive training, the gentleman at the dive shop is who we went through to get this ERD training. I said it right, didn't I, Todd?
ERDI.
Yeah, okay. I knew I left a letter out of there. But when we did our training with them, for some of our checkoff dives, they had these really cool. It looks like a rope. And you have a headphone, and we tie the rope to Todd, and Todd goes out and does his thing. But I'm talking to him. I have a direct line. It's dive comms is what it is. The comms that we have, we say they're from the 80s, but realistically, I think they're probably from the 90s, maybe. I know when I first came on, they said, "Hey, do you know how to solder?" And I'm like, "Oof, why?" and one of the guys fixed it, and just the sound on it worked. It was a little choppy, but we had wireless comms that we used, and it was sonar, and we just upgraded to the new ones. The sheriff's department and the board of supervisors agreed to update that stuff for us, which was great. But now we have a tethered system that's also our communication line too.
That's awesome.
So if instead of us, and we're, sometimes we have to use hand signals when we're doing stuff. I say hand signals, but we're pulling on a rope.
Yeah, you're giving signals back. Just how many times you kind of pull on it, right?
Because remember, when we're diving, and this is how, when we go into the schools and we talk to kids about search and rescue, we tell them to imagine chocolate milk and imagine being in that chocolate milk, and that's all you can see. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. So we're having to tug a certain amount of times, and then the guy on the other end knows what we're saying to him, and then he's tugging to tell us which way to go.
That's in still water. I mean, imagine being in rough water. Like, them tugs don't work.
It's tough. It's tough.
You need a tethered communication line. So
now we've got these the system that we can put on, and we can talk, and it is clear, and we can have 2 people on the comm system at one time, and it's safer for us.
Two in the water, one on the headset, and it's as clear as we're talking right now with this.
That's amazing. Yeah, and it probably gives you a little bit of comfort, too, knowing when you're under there. You might be 25 feet, 50 feet down, digging on a car.
Yeah.
And you're communicating back, and somebody's, like, it makes you feel close, and you got somebody with you to support you. Even if it's just like, holy cow, man, I can't see nothing down here. I'm nervous, like I don't know what's going to fall on me or what. And you got this person that you really trust with your life on the comm.
It's our lifeline.
Yeah, it's your lifeline.
Exactly.
It helps with the mental stability of being down there because you're not seeing anything, so at least.
I couldn't do it. I'm just going to tell you, I got to take my hat off to you.
But that's the newest thing that we've gotten, and that came in just a few weeks ago. We're set to dive next week.
So the county put the checkbook out for that one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
good.
They did an awesome job.
That's
Like,
great.
Nice to you.
Because I know it's hard. Like, a lot of people don't realize that, yes, they collect a lot of taxes, they do all this stuff, but man, like, allocating those funds to the right places is hard for them. I know that. Our county does a great job at taking care of our roads. I mean, they're excellent about that stuff around here. I can't say anything better about them, you know.
I can tell you this. Since I've been over there, I've never been told no.
Yeah.
And now we're not abusing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We will go and try to find grants. That's our first line. And if it's not working, then we'll look at our budget and
Well,
see.
they probably know that, though. Like, they know you guys are trying to, you know, find it somewhere else, you know. So
the sheriff has been great, though. Like, and
you got a new sheriff this year, and
Yes,
I've heard wonderful things about him. Like, everybody has told me that he's just an awesome guy, and he's really wanting to work for the community. And let me applaud him right here personally. I live kind of close. Well, Todd's like I am. We both live close to the state line. Although we live in Mississippi, we're just not even a quarter mile from the other side of life. You know what I mean? Like, and over on my side of the county, there's a lot of corridors that lead back into South Haven and quick access back into Memphis. And there's a lot of presence there. And I see a lot of them backing up the local PDs because I think, obviously, probably the DeSoto County Sheriff's Department is probably way bigger. I don't know the numbers, but I just know, just on an off note, thank you for that, Sheriff Tuggle, because you guys are putting a real presence out there right now, and I can see it from my community standpoint. And it does give me a sense of security, you know. And we both live, like, I'm telling you, Todd, how far do you think you live from there?
A quarter mile.
Yeah. And we live in these little nice neighborhoods, and it could any minute go bad, you know. So it's important for that to be put there. And I know that was an extra cost to put those guys on. So, you know, thank the county for that as well. So the equipment going back, I know typically, you got boats,
Yes,
you got ATVs, you got drones. What other stuff would you might have? I mean, Todd was wanting me to try to come over and look at your yard to kind of just see the cool stuff y'all got. What is some of the equipment people probably don't think that you would have?
well, so on another side of that's leading on to this.
Mhm.
In the beginning, 4 years ago, we had a trailer. I think it's maybe an 18-foot trailer, and we used it as our command center. And it had all of our gear, like everything, just in it, and it was organized in its own way. But we needed a command center that we could work out of.
Sure.
And so I call myself a nerd, 100%. I am the nerd cop. I'm the guy that reads the book and figures out the
We need nerds, by the way.
and you do.
Yeah.
And so I found my nerd members, and we got along great. We gutted that command center, and we had somebody that gave a donation, and we went through this command center, and we went to, I believe it was Home Depot. We put cabinets in it. We put countertops in it. And then there's a guy that I know that works at casinos, and he said, hey, they're selling TVs for $10.
Right.
And so I grabbed a couple of TVs. We installed them in there. And so and then we started just wiring everything. So essentially we've got a command center where two people can sit in there comfortably. It's got radios. We can monitor everything that's going on. We can take the drone. We can tap it into the TVs. We can take a computer. We can tap it into the TVs. Wow. Whatever we need to tap into the TV.
So you really upgraded.
And it's got air conditioner, heater, all that good stuff in it. If something happens and somebody's got to get sewed up because they're hurt, we've got nurses that work for us too now.
Okay.
We've got EMTs. One of our guys is this close from being a nurse practitioner.
Okay.
And so we've got gaming chairs. The gaming chairs fold out and we can lay flat. And so the floor in there, we can mop it clean up whatever mess that we make in there, but we can use this command center for anything that we need.
And the commands has got big monitors on there. When we get to a call, we have this QR code that we scan, and so each individual walking or however they're traveling, it tracks you real time, like where you are.
Because you don't want to get lost out there too.
The command center, they can tell where we are.
Because let me tell you, folks, for you, those of you who are not from around here, it is dark in Mississippi at nighttime. There's not a lot of money going in the street lights unless you're in the cities. And most of where y'all going are probably in the places that are heavily wooded, low water lands. Chris, man, come on. No, I'm joking.
Oops, my bad.
I'm just messing with you.
Somebody's wanting to call me about my car's extended warranty.
That's probably what it is. Yeah. But it's probably never in the best of situations. Like, because people can find folks, if they walked off, you can see them across the field or something. But I know, especially out where I live probably in some of the most remote parts of the county out there. Walls community is probably one of the biggest portions of the county, and there's just not many people out there. A lot of trees, a lot of water, like standing water, sloughs, if you will. So 9 times out of 10, you don't want to lose your folks while they're looking for somebody. So I get that, and that's pretty cool technology that you guys have. That do they wear like some kind of a tag or something?
No. So it's all done through their cell phones.
Oh, okay.
So our EMA, which we have a good relationship with them, they're great guys. They came over and they showed us a program. It's called SAR Topo. Mm-hmm. And so you download the app, we can take your cell phone, you can scan a QR code, whatever, but ultimately you've got somebody who can see everything. And once you scan it, it's like GPS turns on. We can see a GPS trail of where you've been and where you're at, and it's actively showing. And so we can take that cell phone and tap it into the command center, or we can put it on a computer. So if we've got 5 members and they give us access to the QR, or we give them access to the QR code, we can see where they're at and see where they're moving. So if we're doing a grid search, we can say, "Hey, Todd, you need to move over 5 feet to your left. You're out of line." Yeah. Or if we're just doing training and somebody gets away from the group, we can see where everybody's at, and it is a great tool. But the EMA guys, they came over and showed us that one. And
it's just great coordination. It cuts down on time. I mean, time's essential in y'all's business. Yeah, like every second counts,
And so before that, all the stuff that was in the trailer, y'all had to find a place for. So now you got command post.
Yeah.
What happened to all that stuff?
There was a back room that we fixed up a little bit and put most of it there. And some of it, everything went to different places. We had to fix a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff we had to get rid of.
Just old and dated.
It was, so.
What year was that command post originally built? You think that trailer?
I can tell you this because we were looking at this in the beginning. It was a motorcycle trailer that was a seizure trailer, I believe, in James Albert Riley days. And
that's been like 90s.
Yeah. And so, but we fixed it. Like it's great. We did the bearings. The axle's great. We sent it to a shop. The frame's good. Everything's good. And even we had a concession stand window on this at one time. And we were going to a call. There was a missing autistic kid in Hernando. Hernando called and they said, "Can you help us?" And we're like, "Absolutely." So one guy gets there. He's coming out. He's pulling the trailer out of the bay because we try to keep everything in our warehouse. And the concession stand window opens as he's pulling out, and it gets stuck on the door, and it rips it right off.
Oh my goodness!
And he calls me. He was like, "I'm so sorry. I'll fix this. I'm sorry." So the group of nerds, a bunch of us got together again. It just so happens, and I didn't know this, the area that we're located in, there's an aluminum plant right next to us, and we went over there and talked to the owner, and he said, "Hey, here's a scrap piece." And he gave us a scrap piece, and we went in with a rivet gun, and we fixed everything, and then we sent it to the paint shop, and everybody hooked us up. It was great, but we fixed it. You can't even tell that there was a window. Now, we don't have a concession stand window anymore, but we have a really cool dry erase board that's like, that big.
That big, yeah.
So
again, thank you to the community for stepping up. I mean, it just happened.
And we didn't have to worry about the paint. They actually, we supplied the paint and they supplied the labor.
That's awesome.
And then the aluminum plant, they gave us the sheet of aluminum. I mean, it was just great. Like,
again, although it is funded by the county, there's some things that just needs to be done right now. And sometimes you got to have the resources for that. And you got to have the people in your circle of things. Just like Todd with his company. You were talking earlier about the tornadoes a few years ago and how he just dropped everything, brought his whole crew over there, their trailers, their chainsaws. And I know you don't want us talking about that to give you a little bit of a spotlight for your company. But again, you give a lot back. I appreciate it.
It was a good time. We had those tornadoes that came. I say a good time. It was
been 4 years ago.
It was a scary time.
Yeah, it was very scary.
But we had our members. We have some members that work remotely in another state, and so they were watching radar, telling us what the game plan is. Their weather spotters and all that stuff. And so we went in behind these tornadoes, and it came through Eudora. And so here comes the tornadoes. We go around the storms, and Todd's got all his gear, his equipment, and everything. And I'm not gonna say any names, but there was entities out there that said, "Wow, we need to get some of this equipment because your guys were killing it." And like we went in to go render aid to make sure houses didn't fall and people didn't go places and cars didn't flip over, and we ended up clearing roads for a while. And it was all because of Todd and what he does.
Todd and Tree Masters.
Not only that, and this is a story. You know, maybe it's one I shouldn't tell, but I'm gonna tell it.
You can tell it.
So one of my drone guys in the beginning was droning, and that's what we call it. We call it droning. And I don't know, maybe they weren't paying attention. I don't know, but they got a tree. A tree got them. You got to watch out for those trees because they come at you pretty quick.
Power lines, trees.
And so one of our members, same thing had happened, and so he called somebody. They charged him lots of money to get his drone back, to get our drone back. And so I called Todd, and he's like, "Man, I'll be there shortly." And they told me that he just went up like a lumberjack and just.
Oh, he's a tree climbing fool, man. Like
100 feet.
Yeah, look how he's built. Yeah, like he's built perfect for it.
But yeah, I knew that when he was able to grab the drone that we were going to be best friends.
Yeah.
So
like, he's a
I was in the alpha class then, and it was 10:30 at night, and I said, "Well, you want to get it tomorrow or right now?" He's like, "Right now." I'm like,
yeah, let's
give
go.
me the address. I'm on the way.
My goodness. Yeah. Well, that's good on you, man. Did a good job. Probably saved thousands of dollars because you don't know what would happen to that drone overnight.
Well, no, I know what the insurance would do with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Those things are pretty expensive, huh?
They are.
This is like I said, it's not your hobby drone.
No, we are heading a direction right now where the U.S. is not fans of Chinese products.
Sure.
But the Chinese products are years ahead,
right?
Technology-wise,
right?
And the price point is so much better,
right?
And I'm not saying that we don't support U.S. because we do,
sure.
But if you try to sell us the same drone for $20,000 when we can get it for $5,000,
right?
Why would we do that?
Well, if you're looking for my loved one, I don't give a dang who made it.
Yeah,
I want the best thing you can get your hands on.
And I see it the exact same way.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's just like, a couple of years back, we were on a job with Todd, and we'll get into some personal stuff on the business side. We were working with Bubba Wilson, Allscapes, on a job. I won't say where, but they had a big pond lake in front of their house, and I pull up in my dump truck, dumping out stuff, and I see Todd's feet. That's all I can see. And he's hanging over the side of this ditch down into the water. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm trying to get my chainsaw out of the water." He said, "This is the best chainsaw money can buy, and I cannot lose it. I'm going to figure out if I can save it or not." Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that was over in Olive Branch. And at that point, I was like, man, look, he does have the best chainsaws, and to lose one is that's crazy. Like, that's crazy money, and then on top of that, it's something he's worked on, he's invested in. Try to save it. Did you save it?
I did.
Awesome.
Stayed underwater a couple of days and took it straight to the shop.
Oh yeah, man.
And within a few hours.
Yeah. So like, again, he could have went and just said, forget that thing and buy something, but he puts his money back in his business and also back in the community. But so yeah, equipment is the best. I want the best product on the job, period. So, I mean, if it goes back to being probably a steel chainsaw, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it was steel, and I mean, it just disappeared.
Yeah.
And it was on the bank edge. And I know my guys wouldn't take it.
No, and nobody on the job
I got my metal
would.
detector and stuck it down in the water, and it started hitting on it.
How deep was it, Todd?
It wasn't about 5 feet deep.
I'm surprised we didn't see you out there with your diving gear on getting that thing. That was probably the next step, wasn't it?
If I had to go.
You'd have got it. There's no telling what that thing costs. Probably $1,000.
Yeah, I think 1,000, 1,200, something like that.
That's been like 3 or 4 years ago. So who knows what it costs now,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I just think that's a funny little note because he was desperately trying to get that thing out of there. Because I thought it was done for. Like, once you get a motor wet, it's over.
With the tornado situation that we had, we learned I learned the difference between residential chainsaws and commercial chainsaws.
Yes.
Because shortly after that, we did have another entity that reached out to us, the Rotary Club in Hernando, and they purchased us a bunch of commercial chainsaws.
Yeah, man.
And so now
Thank you, Rotary Club.
Yeah, we've got some awesome chainsaws because of those guys.
Yeah.
And
it does make a difference, the product that you have. I mean, I'm so bad about buying something cheap because I'm going to use it once. Well, you get what you pay for.
You do.
Really
you might get one or two good uses out of it, but
not me. I'd probably be lucky to get it going one time and I'll break it or something. So, but I get that. But that just goes to show you again about we're talking about community giving back, spending local, helping the local charities, the nonprofits. And I consider y'all a nonprofit for sure, because of what you do. And there is so many volunteers involved. You're talking about the nurses. I want to focus on that. And now these are volunteers. They're nurses in the community
Yes, sir.
that spend their time on the rescue team, their own dime when they could be working somewhere most likely, but they devote to you guys to make sure that you have access to medical care on site in case you pull out. Find somebody that's hypothermic or something of that nature, or maybe got a bad wound. I mean, they're there for you.
Yeah. When when we do the parades,
Right.
there's always a nurse on the parade, and there's a science to how we do the operational plan in a parade, and a lot of people don't realize it. So you've got a certified officer, that can take care of a traffic issue or any other issue if there's somebody that's doesn't need to be at the parade.
Sure.
And you always have a medical person, and they have their boo-boo bag, is what we call it. If somebody gets hurt in the parade, because it can happen. And it happened a couple of years ago, I believe. But if somebody gets hurt, we can render aid right there. We can just pull over to the side and do our thing. But yes, I think we've got maybe 3 EMTs. Is it EMTs?
Yeah.
Because and this is another thing too. Our county EMS, they offer to the fire departments around here, the volunteer fire departments, and it may be the paid fire departments too. I'm not sure, but they offer an EMT program. What is it exactly? It is it's an EMS program sponsored through Northwest, I believe, and it's for EMT. And then there's another one too. It's like the first responder. What is it?
Medical first responders.
Okay.
EMRs.
An EMR. That's what I was looking for. I couldn't find the word. So if you're a part of the fire department, they send you through this college course, and it takes a couple of months to do it, and then you can get into the National Registry. And now they're allowing our guys to do it too.
Oh, great.
Which is great. And so we've got, I believe there's been about 5 of us that have been through it. But we do have we had a nursing instructor at one time, and she's actually over the House of Grace now.
Nice.
And so, and she works for us too.
Shout out to the House of Grace. I don't know. I don't know those folks personally, but I know they do a lot of good work.
They
do. But yeah, I'm trying to think. There's probably at least 10 personnel that have medical under their belt.
That's important. That's very important. With the EMT part of it, I would think would be essential on every call. Like you almost got to have somebody there. Like I guess an ambulance goes with y'all on calls, or do y'all just have to bring in the nurses? Or
if it's something, I mean, we always have the option of calling to have somebody staging. But what we do on our dive calls, everybody has a job, and what we've done here lately is we keep it closed. We only have maybe 8 members that go. Usually 5 or 6 of those are divers. There's always one medical. If we don't have medical personnel with us, there's no dive operation. It's completely scrapped. Right. And we learned that from our guys that taught us this ERDI training. And
all these acronyms. I don't know what they mean, but I'll take your word for them. I'm sure somebody will understand them.
Response Dive International.
Yeah.
And but the medics are for to check our body, the diver's body, not just for the victim, but for us. To make sure we're okay.
Yeah, because you're essentially got to be healthy. You come out hypothermic, you got a problem. You know what I mean?
Well, you have a blood pressure issue and you're fixing to go diving. It can be bad. The new one that we've been working with is the mud at Arcabutla.
Oh my goodness!
It is. I have never in my life.
But let me tell you something, sir. Just by Facebook post of people I know, they are ridiculous trying to get in that mud.
Yeah.
Like they just want to get out there and get stuck or something. And I'm sure
they do it over and over and over.
Yes, over and over and over. So please, folks, when it's cold out and you know it's dangerous and it's going to be hard to get to you, please don't go out there in the middle of that lake.
No, don't.
Because it is deep mud.
Yes. Yeah. The last, well, I say the last, he wasn't the last. The one that I can remember where we had to crawl, the first time we got called out there, we could stand up. And when we would sink down to our hips, not our knees, not our calves, to our hips.
You can't move in that.
And so we'd have to lay down, and so we had to crawl 200
goodness.
Yards. Zach Diaz did. I'll say him by name. He's one of our retired Marines.
Oh yeah.
He crawled out there, and we were tethered together, and we went out, and he got this hunter that was out there that. Man, it was crazy.
That guy could have died out there.
Well, they transported him to the hospital, and his core temperature was about 87 degrees. I believe.
Was definitely on death.
He was fixing to, he's fixing to, and just stay off. Just stay off of it.
Well, and the problem with it is, it's. I mean, things been there for 100 years. So like when these things were built, I don't think they ever expected for them to be taken down to where they're at right now. This one had a leak. They're having to repair it. It's taking some time. Probably won't even see it in our lifetime to when it's full again. It probably be 30 years. But there's a lot of silt that goes into the bottom of those lakes, and because they're the runoff, that's where the reservoir is to keep these floodwaters from just encompassing our community. So they're important, but it's giving them access to this newfound hunting areas and four-wheel driving and mud bogging and everything else, and it's hard to manage that from a perspective of the Corps of Engineers who kind of are supposed to oversee it. They can't be out there at nighttime, watching everybody, and it's a huge area. I don't know how many acres it is, but I'm guessing hundreds and hundreds, if not 1,000 acres maybe or bigger. I don't know, but they're enormous, So thank God for cell phones, because that dude would have probably died out there had he not had a cell phone.
Well, he wasn't the one that called us.
Oh, he wasn't?
No. Somebody that was in the campgrounds called and said they could hear somebody asking for help or yelling for help, and it was very faint. And then we actually went out there and deployed a drone, and drone found him.
Awesome, man. That's a great story. And on top of that, probably at nighttime, like with him, like it's just black as night out there. I know that doesn't make sense, but it's just dark, and 9 times out of 10 down here, it's going to be that way. So it's important for the drone to have the thermal technology it has to pick up on
and the speaker. They can comfort the victim.
They can talk to them. Yeah. Like we're here with
flashlight,
you. So that's nice for the public to know. Just the means that you're going to update the equipment to where it's, because our county is growing so fast. Like, we need more volunteers, but there's always, with more people, there's going to be more problems. It's a natural fact. It's like, just like more people, more speeding tickets. So we need more cops. We need more, for crime, whatever it is. So same thing with like emergency situations, to where we have the public's in need of something beyond the police's capabilities. And this is a great program. And I really wanted to bring it on today, just a spotlight. So if there's anything y'all want to add to it that you can think of, Todd, you got anything you can say?
No, a lot was covered.
Well, real quick, I want you to tell me about Tree Master's website so people know how to go to you.
Tree Master Tree Service. Telephone number 901-497-7698.
TreeMasterTreeService.com.
Tree Master Tree Service.
I guess it's
.net.
.net. All right.
TreeMasterTreeService.net.
Todd didn't want to do that, to be clear, and I made him do it because he's a friend of mine. He's helped me a ton in some of my stuff with like Feed My Lambs, and also what he does for the community here. I don't think, we were talking about this prior to the show about how you got to see it like you're giving back this way too, because without your business and doing well, you can't contribute like you contribute,
right?
So thank you for that, and I just want to give you a little plug there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just want to say that coming on to the unit, it's like a family. It's a tight knit, and it's a good feeling you get of giving back and helping somebody. Sure. And I think that's why we all do it.
Yeah, well, it has to be. It's
addictive, and you just want to help other people.
Yeah, it's addictive, like the need to help others. And like I get that from my fundraising and stuff I do too. When you see that you're making an impact, and I think you've seen that probably in more ways than I have, because you're seeing life or death scenarios sometimes. So it's really obvious when you guys are out there and you just saved somebody's life, and help this family get around this tragedy potentially, or have some closure, one of the two, whatever it might be. So I totally get that. And for those of you looking for something to do that's maybe not 100% of your time, but I'm sure there's levels of this you can get involved with, and I'm sure Director Johnathon here could, if you guys want to reach out to him. And do you want to say where they can reach you at, Mr. Johnathon?
So if you get onto the county's Facebook page, there and just put search and rescue, an application will pop up, and just fill it out. And then at the bottom of the application, there's an email address, which is mine, and it'll come to me, and I will send you an email back that says, hey, we've received it, and I'll keep it in a folder. And when we decide that we're going to open up a class, then we'll send out a mass email. And if you're still interested, then that's great.
Can they come out and like shadow you for a minute to kind of see if it's something they want to do? Because I got these ideas. I'd love to do it.
So everything that we do in our alpha class, we'll do an intro and we'll talk about things. And and in all honesty, we usually start with about 18 when we start a class. By the time we're done, we might have 6 or 7 that stay.
Because they just feel like it's not.
Yeah, they're like, no, this isn't for me. I don't want to do it. And a lot of people get the perception that, oh, I'm going to get to be in a squad car. I'm going to get to run blue lights up and down the road. This is not what this is about. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
And that weeds out a lot of folks as soon as we say. And then also, when we say, hey, there's got to be some level of physical fitness too.
Yeah.
Some people are like, oh, no, well, I'm out. I don't want to do that. And so, but that. Doing these classes, I'd say the way that we've got our alpha class right now, it's a 3-month commitment. We've got you one night a week for maybe 2 to 3 hours. Everything is on a schedule. We don't throw any curveballs at you and say, hey, we're doing class today. Show up tonight. And then out of those 3 months, we have you on one Saturday for about 6 hours, and that's we got to get your boater registration. Your boat and license, I'm sorry. And then your CPR certification. Every person on our unit, even our kiddos, they are all CPR certified.
Sure. Just all your safety stuff that you got to go through and the certifications, and then like any specific trainings do they pick while they're in there? Or do you pick for them as far as what unit they might go to?
We pick. If we see that, if this person, man, they look like they got a lot of cardio and they're clicking well with the canine stuff and they're liking it, then they might go to canine.
Sure.
Everybody cross trains. So just because you're put on a task force doesn't mean that you can't go diving.
Right.
Now, when the dive calls go out, yes, the divers are the only ones diving. But as far as the training goes and, maybe getting some intro to get into diving, then everybody can come.
But you can grow into that.
You can.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can. So. And what we do, though, is we have a program called D4H.
Yeah.
And it's an app and a computer-based program. It's all of it. And so...
Nerd.
Yeah, it's a nerd thing. So let's say that I want to do some training, and my thing is swimming. I'm big on swimming.
Right.
And I do swimming every week. And so everybody who wants to go swimming, everybody's invited to the event. And so if Todd wants to go swimming, he says, director's going swimming on Thursday. I'm going to go with him. And so I pull up the app and I've got 5 people going with me. I'm going to wait. We get everybody together and then we go to our training. So let's say he wants to hold a dive session.
He swims 1 mile every week. One mile.
Every week. And
we keep going.
We calculated 57 miles so far this year.
Just for you.
Just for me.
So you don't smoke.
No. And we're and veering off the subject real quick. We were talking about Sheriff Tuggle.
Yeah.
Motivational.
Right.
Extremely motivational. Some of us ran a 10K. I'm not a runner. My New Year's resolution
was to start running.
Yeah. And I'm still not hardcore at it, but we counted at, 12 10Ks? No, I'm sorry, 12 5Ks and 2 10Ks. But Sheriff Tuggle pushed us, and it was great. He's
a great motivator, I can tell.
It was great. We're running. There's a bunch of us. I think there's 3 of us. We're doing St. Jude this weekend.
Awesome.
So we'll do a half a marathon, and we'll see what that leads into.
I don't know if y'all have watched any of the podcast or how I got started, but I got started when I did my Feed My Lambs program here in this studio, the SRP studios here in Hernando. Derek Michaud and Chris Camp. Chris Camp is a motivational speaker. He is a retired firefighter, and now he's a professor of EMT out at Southwest. So, but this guy's also a machine, dude. He does Ironmans. You know what I mean? He's my age, Todd. He's 51, going to be 52. And I mean, it's amazing. And he was telling me, we did a podcast, I think it was released last week, but he was talking about his, these goals. You got to be goal oriented to continue on that path. And he said he's got a minimum of so much he runs every day. And he's done it for years, and it's pretty amazing that you can stick to that. You got to be pretty good willpower to stay to that. So with the swimming thing, I think in the Ironmans, I don't know how many miles it is you got to swim, but it's more than 1 mile. I can tell you that right now. After you've ran 100 miles and biked 200 miles or something like that, it's something crazy. So those guys do exist out there, and you got to be in top physical condition to do this because you don't know what you're going to be asked of when you get out there. And Todd, he's just doing it by climbing trees. I mean, that's just what he does.
Todd's a good swimmer.
No,
let him
he has to be. I mean, to dive, you got to be a good swimmer.
Well, he had that knee surgery, and he was still he was still knocking them out of the park, like swimming with us. He was doing great.
That's probably good therapy, though.
It was. It helped it helped it heal back.
Yeah. So he's built long and lean, man. He's good for it. He's in good shape. But that tree climbing keeps him in shape, I promise you.
Did he also tell you that he is a lifeguard, a swimming instructor through the American Red Cross, too?
That's right.
See?
Yeah.
Look at all this stuff you're doing, Todd.
Swiftwater 1 and 2. All this stuff. They sent us on the training.
So you got all this training through the SARS program. So
Through
you
the
can,
SARS. County paid for it. Yep.
Yeah, search and rescue. I want the SARS unit. I know it's just short acronyms for
Search and rescue. Sorry, it's so weird listening to SARS. Like, what's SARS?
Well, it's on your website.
Yeah, I know.
So I go on there and it's SARS. That sounds good. It's almost like a disease from China or something, Sorry, man, I had to go there. But anyway, so you get a lot more out of this and than just, community service. You get some training, you get some, I guess, some camaraderie from a team. If you're looking for a team aspect to volunteer, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I do, I'm kind of by myself. I'm out here just waving the flag for the game, so it is important when I have some good friends that get involved to help me as well. And that to me is big, and I always know I can count on that team. But this is a little bit different. This is a team you're going in with, you're accomplishing things with, and you're coming home with. And you got to make sure all of you get back safe and sound as well. So that's pretty amazing that's, if you're looking for that, then this is something you're looking to, might want to look into for volunteering, giving your time back to, and it's rewarding in its aspect of just what you're doing for the community. And I hope you don't ever have to go on another rescue. You know what I mean? That's my hope. Yeah. But we know that's not reality. Yeah. So, the fact of the matter is it's going to take a lot more as we go forward and more people getting involved, more donations from the community on just like you were talking about the Rotary Club stepping up. You had an anonymous donor donate some money to help you with your command center. Those are huge things in the community. It's not all just about feeding the kids and housing. These are things that are important too. We have a lot of programs, and this is kind of what the show is about, focused on, is giving back locally. Yes, all those big things, the St. Jude thing you mentioned, that's huge. We need to support that. But our local stuff in our county, right. It's one of the shows focused on, we're all local yokels. You know what I mean? That's kind of how it happens. So, Chris, do you want to add anything to it today?
Our cadet program, they actually have a 501c that they're under. They'll do fundraisers a couple times a year, and they utilize that money to, do cadet activities. It may be going out of town to go do a field trip, or go do the rock climbing wall or anything like that. But
mentoring them.
Right.
Yeah. And is it mostly young gentlemen, or is there some females?
It's a mixed group. We have male and female.
So there you go. Ladies, y'all can get involved too.
Yeah. I mean, we've got some females on the unit that, they hang right in there with the guys. I mean,
I know some women that take us out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. A couple of our female cadets, they probably would real quick.
So it's just an overall, just welcome to anybody that's interested. And, of course, there's a vetting process. They got to make sure that everybody's the right fit for the program, because it's not for everybody. I don't think I could do it. Yeah. And I'm a pretty strong-minded person, but from the diving aspect, I couldn't do it. Now, the other stuff, I might be able to do it. But I couldn't do the diving thing. I would like to think I could, but I just, man, you get down there in that dark water, that's for special folks. That's a special thing. So with that, do they, is it something local here in Hernando to where they go with the cadet program, or is it like
we do everything in Nesbitt.
In Nesbitt,
yeah.
County facility. Yeah, got you.
Well, so the other thing is too is we don't. I mean, yes, there are exceptions to some things as far as assets. But you got to be a DeSoto County resident if you're going to be a part of it.
Oh, well, sure. Absolutely.
Because, when I came on, we had people that weren't in DeSoto County, and, the response time would take an hour.
Well, that's the biggest issue, time.
And, and so that's why we've elected to do DeSoto County residents. Sure. Like that's one of the must.
Well, one of the biggest things is, like I talk about, it's a pretty big county, so it's sprawling from end to end. So getting and it's congested as all get out nowadays, because we got a lot of folks living in the northern part of the county for sure. And so having folks from all sides in every place in the county is highly important. But you'll take anybody. I mean, but there again, if somebody's in Walls and there's an issue at the river, they can get there fast, know. And so that's important too. You can deploy your team. Maybe somebody gets eyes on the ground a little sooner than everybody else. I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Well, we meet up in Nesbitt, figure out the resources we'll need, and then we go down.
Oh, okay, I got you. So just being in the
we
county is
yeah.
close. It's like a center focus there in
Right,
Nesbitt.
'cause
And I
we're
would say
all
Nesbitt's
scattered.
pretty center pointed in the county.
We were in a good spot.
Yeah,
We
it's a
can-
great point.
55, 69, everything's right there.
I mean, within a couple of seconds, you guys are on any road
We
right
are.
there. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good spot for us.
Absolutely. Have I missed anything? Do y'all think we can focus on anything else? I'm asking questions because I'm just interested learning. So,
Well, we've had a lot of training this year. We didn't talk about your New Mexico trip.
oh yeah, elaborate on that, Todd.
It was bomb response training.
Okay,
So
okay.
if a bomb goes off,
Right. You know, I
how
didn't
to
think about
respond to
that.
that.
Like, we think about we're kind of comfortable here. We don't expect that kind of stuff, right? So,
but, right, it was the University of New Mexico, and a group of us went out there and blew bombs up and learned what to look for, and it was a really interesting class.
so are you going to start like a bomb unit on the program, or is it just some like?
No,
No,
It was just some
you know,
cool training to
Yes.
kind of let you know what.
If something ever happened, just
Yeah.
kind of know what to
Can
look
you walk
for.
up like what was it called? The Hurt Locker? Was that the movie? You're gonna have a bomb suit. Todd? I can see you in
Something
that.
like No.
That'd be pretty close, like a bee suit, or like those chainsaw pants and stuff you wear to where you can't cut your leg off. I mean, you could do that. You're familiar with all this
That's
equipment.
for way more qualified people.
Way
but,
more qualified. I got you.
Yeah, that's not us.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
but
not
just
us.
There's specialty
acknowledging it,
groups
you know.
involved
We'll
in
get
that.
us some Mentos and some
Yeah.
Diet Coke, and that's about as far as it goes.
Oh my goodness! So, but it was a good educational program.
It
Opened
was.
your eyes to a lot of things. that-
There's, probably 20 people in the class, people from L.A., just all over the country.
all over the country
They
coming
came
there.
there to train.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a new place. You see how other people. I mean, I'm sure you were observant of other things they were doing in the community as well, like how they deal with their policing and things. And their, I'm sure you had questions about their search and rescue divisions out there, possibly, and you got to look at. I mean, that's good about traveling in general. You see how people do things a little bit different from town to town, and definitely state to state.
Oh yeah.
It's different. Like just the overall how they have to do things. Sometimes it's just landscape. Like what kind of topography they have. Like if it's a mountainous area, or like here, it's not like flat everywhere, but and there's some areas to where there's some hills, but we're really not dealing with the mountains too much here.
Right.
It's basically just heavily forested, wet water, those
And
kind
mud.
of things, and mud,
And
yes,
mud.
and mud,
A
yeah.
lot of mud.
So that's for sure different out there. It's very arid, sandy. You probably had a little bit different.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was mountains and
Were you in Albuquerque?
flew in. No, it was in Soro, which is about an hour outside of
North.
Yep, north.
Yeah, that's right. It's up there kind of close to the Arizona, Colorado border
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Yep.
Big mountains. Yeah.
Oh, huge. Man, there's some big elk out
Nice.
there. It's like some of the biggest elk in the world out there in that northern New Mexico area. And I spent a lot of time in Wyoming, and they got big elk, but I think they're bigger down there, actually. Yeah. So I guess probably more food resources. I don't know. Warmer climate. But anyway, guys, with that being said today, I want to thank all of you for coming in. I'm very, very anxious to see the podcast released and see all the details that we got into. And if we miss something, we can always come back and do another show or something.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I love to talk about it.
Yeah, man, I know you guys do. So, I mean, this is something to put out there and show the passion you guys have for this program. That you have to have it because it's not paid. Now, I know that you are a paid member, but you're also a member of the Sheriff's Department.
Yes, sir.
Full time.
Yes,
like
sir.
that's your job.
I'm the certified deputy for the unit.
Yeah.
So also the administrator and also
But now,
everything.
but your day job at the Sheriff's Department
is being at search and rescue.
is it? So that's just 100%. So you're not having to like drive around and do anything other or assist at the Sheriff's Department in any other capacity. It's search and rescue only, kind of keeping it coordinated, organized, ready to rock and roll at any time.
For the most part, yes.
Acquiring grants and new equipment and recruiting. I mean, it's a big job. So, if you got 30 folks, and like I said, it's all volunteers. So, it's a big deal to try to keep those people focused as well and keep them included, And the one last thing I want to say is this, I have noticed you guys donate a lot of your time when you go out to, if you have a nonprofit or a charity that you're trying to bring awareness to, you can either reach out to the show or reach out to Director Johnathon here about them coming out with their cadets or even the members. I know that I did see where y'all do some of that stuff, like when you're trying to fundraise, you bring out the dog and maybe some of the equipment, the people that's out there. I did notice that on your website that you guys do that.
Most of our fundraisers are, it's in house. So,
yeah.
But yeah, if it's a
but to show up like for the kids or something.
No, there's no. Like we'll show up.
That's what I'm saying.
If you want us
like,
there for a public relations event,
kind of like the fire department might do or something.
Right.
You might bring out like the, just a piece of equipment and have a couple of guys
definitely.
there. Might give you a chance to recruit a little bit, and also got to give the public an idea about what you like to do.
All you have to do is call us, and we'll come out.
And all you can do is say no, like, hey, we're busy. We can't bring the whole unit out because we got to be on target.
We had looked before we had came out here, but we were somewhere right around like 275 events that we've done this year.
Wow, for your own events.
Anybody who calls us, like churches or
different
schools.
Well, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like if you want somebody to come out to your nonprofit, or like similar. I will probably now implore y'all to come out to my event next year because of this. And Todd's seen it. Like we have a car show. I've got different vendors out there. It's all on the west side of the county, and just to show up for the kids, like a presence, and also educate people on what the program's about. And possibly
Well, here's
even
what it's
recruiting.
about. Didn't you raise $30,000
Yeah.
to feed the kids
on the weekends. We do
nice.
to pay their lunch balances?
Yeah, well,
wow.
part of that was that, albeit that was something else I was digging into at the time. My mom since passed. She got me involved in that. She passed on July 4th, and we were in the throes of we had started feeding some kids on the weekends, just a short path, some years ago. It's not my program, by the way. It's Feed My Lambs, and I just got involved in fundraising because they were short on money, and awareness was the biggest issue. But they did have a problem after I found out that we were trying to get that done, and we figured out that, well, there's still these kids that aren't eating lunch because they're in these cutoff programs. But I did, Todd, to let you know that Gerald Wheeler, I'd like to give Gerald a good shout out. He's on the school board, I believe. And then Ray Dennison, who's county supervisor, he's from my district. And a lot of those people, I was wearing them out up there at the county level. Like, why am I'm not that I minded. I was doing it out of my own pocket, me and my mom, and paying off these lunch balances. But it was the cutoff kids. Like, there's a certain point they get to where they can't go any further. And then they just start getting the basics, just for these two schools, by the way, because, that was enough, Lake Comert Elementary and Walls Elementary. And that's where we feed the kids on the weekend with the food security program and the backpacks. That's what we do on the weekends during the school year. Through Minor Memorial Church, they're the ones who actually drive the program. But, however, I don't know who did it, but I want to thank them. I'm sure it's just the Board of Supervisors, but they passed a rule for all the Title I schools are now free lunch, period. Doesn't matter. You don't have to qualify, So, because our threshold is so small, like you can't make over like $18,000 a year, and that's not much, So it really helped out a lot of families, I think, so we didn't have to deal with that going into the year. But what we do with the fundraiser is to feed the kids on the weekends. There's about 150 kids a weekend on average. I don't feed them. I just raise the money. I'm doing the easy part, I think. But I organize a big fundraiser once a year, and Todd's been nice enough to be a part of it for the last 3 years that I've been involved with. And we've Tree Masters again pushed it, and of course Bubba and a whole bunch of other people. I could name 100 people. Honestly, business folks and individuals alike that get part of this. But it grew exponentially this year. We were able to do about close to $30,000. I don't know how much they put on the books, but as far as like what we generated for the program, it was a lot for one day. It was a lot. So big car show, lots of good food. We sell butts and things like that, but that's kind of what essentially we're involved in. So I would like to have y'all out for that at some point in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's just you show up with your banner and, promote what y'all got going on, recruit. It's probably going to be a good time because y'all actually start your recruit class usually in August and November. Is that right?
It changes. I think we're looking to do one in the next few months.
Yeah.
So
as you get a group of folks involved, you say, okay, we got 15, 20 people. We can probably do one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I guess people retire.
They do.
Yeah. So, or age out of the program, so to speak, to where they just can't be a part, or they move, or something
Or
happens.
life happens.
Yeah, life happens.
They might have, a zillion kids. And
New job just doesn't allow it. And I'm sure for nurses that's tough because their jobs are always changing. So I want to applaud any of those. I got two daughter-in-laws that are nurses, so I get that. you got to go where you got to go sometimes. So, but again, guys, not to drag this on, but I want to thank y'all for all coming in. Thanks, Sheriff Tuggle, for giving us the approval to do this show, because I know sometimes, we're kind of careful. I told you it's going to be all positive, good stuff, what y'all do. So that's part. But anyway, thanks, everybody, for tuning in to the Local Yokels Podcast. Join us next time as we spotlight North Mississippi's inspiring local ventures, fundraisers, not sports, by the way. I want to be clear on that. I'm really driven towards nonprofits, charities. That's kind of what we're after. So that when I say fundraiser, that's what I mean. So thank you for RoofWorks for sponsoring this episode. You can always find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, of course, is the video episodes. And then please rate, subscribe, and review. And thank you, guys. You can always reach us at TheLocalYokelsPodcast@gmail.com. Thank you, guys. Bye.